I'm Ken Miller, and I'm joined with my co-host, Miss Wendy Batts. On this episode of Random Fit, we are going to talk about the first out of a five-part series when it comes to fitness fairy tales. And on this first episode of this five-part series, we're going to talk about the Goldilocks Principle, where we're going to discuss what it takes to create a change in your body that's going to be not too hot, not too cold, but just right.
And that's when we're thinking about the body. We're going to look into the true adaptations and resilience and strength and what builds that, because we don't want too little, we don't want too much. So we're trying to find that sweet spot. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, download, give us a 5 out of 5 if you can. And we hope you enjoy the show.
You're listening to Random Fit with hosts Wendy Batts and Ken Miller, winner of a Gold Markham Award for Digital Media.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Random Fit with myself, Ken Miller, and my co-host and friend, Miss Wendy Batts. Wendy, how you doing?
I am great, Ken. How are you?
I am good. I am good and excited for this episode of Random Fit because Wendy, you and I we're going down our back to childhood, and we're going to talk about fairy tales. And when I talk about fairy tales, we're going to talk about the fitness fairy tale series. Are you excited for this, Wendy?
I really am, because if you guys have to watch the next 5 episodes that we do on this, because we took topics and then related them back to fairy tale books. So it makes sense. So therefore, sometimes I think the talk and all of the information that's out there can be overwhelming. So Ken and I literally thought about all the fairy tale books that were out there and how some of these topics could fit perfectly, I think, parallel with those stories.
Right. And so for this first episode, first of 5, when we talk about the fitness fairy tale series, we're going to talk about the Goldilocks Principle of fitness. So when we talk about Goldilocks Principle of fitness, Wendy, do you remember the story of Goldilocks? And
I do. So for those of you guys that don't remember, Goldilocks, goes into this house and she sees this porridge. There's 3 different bowls of porridge. There's one that she tries and it's just too hot. And then she tries another one and it's just way too cold. And then she tries that one in the middle and it was just right. And then what does she do after that? She goes and she sits in a chair and she starts rocking, and this chair's too big. And then she goes to the other one and she could barely fit in it. And she's like, this chair's too small. And then she finds the one that's just right. So it goes on. And I'm not going to go through the entire book. You guys can tell that I have a 9-year-old and have read up on most of these fairy tales. But what we're talking about today is the same principles of what Goldilocks went through. She tried 3 different things until she found the one that's just right. And so if you think of your body as that way, and your muscles and your brain, we all operate on that same principle. So the key to true adaptation and resilience and the way that our body kind of conforms and finds its strength is to find just the right amount of stress to place upon it. So therefore our body gets those adaptations that we're hoping for.
Yes, and what we are talking about is hormetic stress. And what hormetic stress is, just like what you said, Wendy, it's just enough to create a positive stimulus, because the poison is what we say is in the dose, right? If you have too much, that might be very, very bad and even kill you in some of these examples. And our goal is not to kill you, but it's also not that you're doing something that's so easy and your body just says, there's nothing to respond to. But what we are trying to do is to create that stimulus, give that body a challenge enough to where it says, okay, this is not nothing. We need to be able to react to this, because one of the things, Wendy, that I tell my clients, and I know that you tell yours, is like, hey, listen, your body doesn't like to be stressed. So if it encounters a bout of stress, it's going to create the changes. It's going to remodel itself internally within the cell to where if the body's thinking, if I encounter this stress again, I want my next encounter to be where when I see this virus or this this bout of cold or this level of starvation or calorie deprivation or the amount of weight I have to lift. I want it to be easier, right? And that's what we're talking about with hormetic stress. So that um, hormesis is what it's called, is basically the idea that the mild non-toxic level of stimulus by a certain whatever that stimulus is enough to create change but not overdo it to where it is lethal. So the end thought there is what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different activities that people do when it comes to trying to improve their health and wellness and longevity. So Wendy, what else am I missing here?
No, I mean, that's the general principle, right? We're looking at hormesis, which I think is such a fun word. Another reason why I was excited about this episode, because how often do I get to say that? And the answer is never. But when we look at that type of hormetic behavior that you just talked about and the way that our body responds, I thought it was interesting that we kind of started looking into the different types of principles, especially in fitness, considering we are random fit. And one of the ones that Ken, you and I right away said was number one, the HIIT training. So when we talk about high intensity interval training, otherwise known as HIIT training, I think it has kind of died down a little bit, but there for a while, that's all you heard about is I'm doing HIIT training, I'm doing HIIT training.
Right.
And even though it might not have been a true HIIT workout because they were doing it for an hour. And if you did a true HIIT workout, you could not do that for an hour. But just for those of you guys that are not sure what it is, it's pushing your body at a very high level for a short amount of time. So it's a short burst. And then you follow that up with a rest period. And then you're going to think about it's a time effective way to work out. So you're pushing yourself, resting, resting. And you're doing this for a certain amount of time. So therefore, if you don't have a lot of time to work out, this is an amazing way to burn calories and to really push yourself to the highest limit if you're really doing a true workout. So if you think about the Goldilocks principle of what we've been talking about, if you do low, steady state type workouts all the time, where your body then kind of adapts to it and it just stays normal, right? Or you're doing even less than that, then it's just too little, right? Just like it being too hot. And then it's like, if you just do the same thing over a long period of time, and remember, your body starts to adapt every 4 to 6 weeks. So if you get to that 4 to 6 weeks and you don't make any changes, it's almost kind of like, all right, that's again, a little too little, right? But then if you start to do just a HIIT workout and you haven't worked out at all, that's way too high. So you want to find the in between, right? So you're trying to find that just right. So if you know that your body adapts every 4 to 6 weeks, then at that 4 to 6 week time, you need to change what you're doing. You want to change the stressors to your body to push yourself a little bit more, not to exhaustion, but to where you're really truly making changes. So therefore, when you're looking for the adaptation of change, whether it be something like building muscle and then working your way up to power, your body is going to slowly adapt in the right amount of stresses, where therefore you're not going to overexert or get to the point where you're just doing nothing. So it's finding that happy medium.
Right. Just that you're in that middle chair. But
Nice
I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, the advantage of doing a HIIT training, and so that's the one thing that you and I, Wendy, we've never, said that HIIT was bad, right? It's if all you're doing is going to a certain box gym and all they're doing, here's our workout of the day, right? And it's going to be snatches and cleans and box jumps and burpees and med ball throws and whatever, you fill in the high intensity exercise. And if that's all you do, you're now putting yourself at risk for overtraining and injury. So this is, not only are we talking about, okay, be preemptive and know that there's a certain amount of time you can be there and be safe. But the one thing we don't want to do is be there so long that now you're overtraining. It's affecting your sleep. You're starting to get these aches and pains, and you're sacrificing form for repetitions and all those benefits, right? The spike in human growth hormone. Now cortisol is up. So now we're starting to mess with our hormones that are going through, because now our body is in a fight or flight. So now the dose has become poison when it comes to doing HIIT for so long. But again, the benefit being, okay, excess post-oxygen consumption. So the amount of calories you spend after the workout is really good, because you're spending a ton of calories recovering from the intensity of the workout to begin with. So, big return on your investment of time when it comes to HIIT training. I wish I don't say I wish, if I could, I would, right? Spend more time, but I run the risk, with shoulders and hips, and I can have
Wow.
one list of things I can throw out there as far as my excuses for not doing HIIT training. But here's the thing: for those that do it and love it, great. Let's just be smart about it, because again, the dose becomes the poison in that case. But a lot of great stuff. EPOC, human growth hormones, that's the benefit. But we have to be smart in finding that happy medium between going high and not going as high.
Yes. Number 2, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there: intermittent fasting. So we've had Kat Bearfield on, which is one of our nutrition experts, that has joined us talking about intermittent fasting. And for those of you guys that have heard it but not really sure what it is, you're deliberately restricting your food intake for a certain amount of time each day. Oftentimes when you're reading research, it's usually anywhere between 10 to 16 hours. And then within the other remaining hours is the only time that you're allowed to eat your food. And so you're restricting your calories for the 16 hours or however long you choose to do it. So you choose that window, and then that's your window, and you're fasting the rest of the time. Now, again, I'll talk about the Goldilocks Principle, Ken, because you're doing amazing with the benefits. So I'm just sitting back. I need popcorn and listen to you. But if you're constantly eating, right, you're eating too much, you're not giving your body any chance to rest and repair. And if you go to the other extreme, right, so starving yourself, just like her little, it's too cold. If you're starving yourself and you're eating too little, that can lead to muscle loss, which is a big issue, and nutrition deficits. So we definitely don't want any kind of deficiency or deficit in the type of nutrition that you're eating, right? We want to make sure that we have the right amount of calories a day, and that when we're looking at our food choices, that we're making really good choices. But if you're not eating at all, muscle loss is a huge, huge problem. So then we're trying to think, okay, we got to find that just right. And if we eat the amount that's just right in that window of time, and so whatever that fasting window is, it's going to trigger some positive changes, especially with the cellular changes that we have within our body. So again, that's definitely a plus. It's just you have to be smart with intermittent fasting and make sure that you're not just so hungry that you're just over excessively eating in that window too. So within your window, be smart.
Right. And again, you started talking about it, Wendy, that when you are in that fasting part of the day, what we are talking about is giving the body an opportunity to basically clean up, right? Clean up the damaged cells, so that when we clean up the damaged cells, then basically we're cleaning house, is one way to look at it. So cellular autophagy is what that's called. So again, just cleaning up house. Body has an opportunity to do that when you're on a time restricted diet. The other benefit there is that insulin sensitivity. So when you have fasted, now your body's a little bit more metabolically responsive to glucose regulation. So for those that are, again, we're not here to give medical advice, but again, if you're under the care of a registered dietitian, these are the things that we need to be aware of when it comes to some of the benefits. But again, if you have medical concerns when it comes to, again, diabetes or pre-diabetes, again, talk to your registered dietitian or physician first before doing anything like that. So that's what we're talking about: cellular autophagy and glucose sensitivity. Those are two of the big benefits when it comes to intermittent fasting.
Well, before we move on to our next one, I want to say that this episode of Random Fit is brought to you by NASM1, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients, enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM1. So Ken, the next one I wanted to bring up was cold water immersion or cold showers. People ask me about this all the time. And so just a quick definition, it's a brief being the big word, exposure to cold temperatures ranging anywhere from 30 seconds, like a 30-second cold shower or plunge into a full ice bath. So you kind of choose how crazy you want it to be. But again, Goldilocks principle. So we want to think about a lukewarm bath. I mean, guys, that does nothing for you. It's not going to provide any kind of challenge to your body whatsoever. So even though it may not be this warm, like, relaxation thing, if it's just lukewarm, you're not really making any changes to your body whatsoever. However, on the flip side, staying in this frigid water for too long or too much can lead to hyperthermia, which is not good, obviously. And if you have, different types of cold issues, so I personally do, so I cannot do any of this kind of stuff, or my limbs turn white and I look like I'm dying. So that's definitely something, again, you have to think about if your body can handle the cold. But that's to the other extreme. So what you're trying to do is you want to do the right amount of time. So you want it to be brief and you want it to be uncomfortable, but it's also something recoverable, like a recoverable duration, to where you're not just in this cold state for a long period of time. And that activates your nervous system, which is what you're trying to do.
Wendy, when's the last time you took a cold shower?
Oh, I don't like them at all. I took one because I let my son take a shower first when we were in a hotel, and my husband went, and then he shaved with hot water. My son took a shower, and I was like, what is happening? I was so cold. It was not good. It was not good. And it really was lukewarm, y'all. It wasn't like it was that cold, but I don't like it.
Yeah. You want hot, steamy.
Yes.
All right, got it. The way I'll take a shower, Wendy, is I'll shower up, clean everything that needs to be cleaned up, and then I'll spend like the last, like you mentioned, like say 30 seconds. I will put that water as cold as I can, as cold as I can get it, with just enough water pressure I can feel it, and then I will count down to 30, or count down from 30 to 1, and that's how long I'll be in there. But I'm also, if I know everybody wants to know what my traveling habits are, but I'll be that guy. If you guys are staying in a hotel room near the ice machine, if you hear that ice machine going off for about 10 minutes, that's me going back and forth, filling up my ice bag or filling up the ice bucket so I can put it in the tub. And then that's what I'll do, is I'll just get into that when I travel. So buckets of ice I'll throw into the tub as I'll get in. But the reason,
I want to say this, I have an athlete that I actually fly down to see in LA, and she plays a professional sport, and I make her do a cold, she does contrast. And so she has she has a hot shower going, and she actually has ice delivered by a truck. So a truck full of ice delivered to put in her tub when she knows I'm coming, because she knows that as soon as we're done, that's what she has to do.
Did they give her bags of is it a block of ice that she'll put into the tub
there's
with her?
multiple bags, but they bring it by the truckload. So when I say like it's a lot of ice, it is not comfortable whatsoever for her.
Well, if it's a matter of being ready after one of your workouts, Wendy, I can see why she needs it. But the benefit, that's why she's still playing. So when we talk about, again, I will attest to some of these benefits. So when I get that little burst of cold, that 30 seconds of cold water, I'm awake, right? And here's what happens when you get that cold water, as cold as your tap water will get. Basically, what it's going to do is activate the sympathetic nervous system. Now, what this is going to do is going to give you that cold water, that stress of cold. So it's like you're out, and it's going to feel like you're out in the snow if you've never done this before, but just for a short period of time. And what that'll do is it's gonna boost your focus and your pain tolerance. So, and a lot of times, as soon as I get done with that shower, give myself that 30 seconds of cold, I am checking off boxes, Wendy. I am getting some stuff done. Not that I don't get things done if I don't take a cold shower, but it's a lot easier for me to get on calls, to return emails. I'm not be like, okay, well, I'm going to go get my coffee and I'm going to sit down for a little bit, look outside, walk the dog. I am getting some stuff done. Now the other part of it is, and this is basically why I started doing it, was because what we want to do is reduce the inflammatory response. So what you're going to do with that cold water is you're going to affect that pro-inflammatory cytokinins. So the stuff that's actually causing or contributing to inflammation, you're going to actually affect that, and that's not going to be as high. To where now we're going to increase anti-inflammation. So those are the arguments for it. So timing, there's different research studies and different outcomes when it comes to, okay, for an athlete, when is the best time? When should I do it? When should I not do it? So if I'm trying to put on muscle, if I'm trying to get stronger, when is the best time? So that is a topic for another episode. But what we're here to talk about is simply, okay, what's the sweet spot? And if we're going to do something that is uncomfortable, that is going to push me to the edge a little bit and make me question, why am I doing it? This is why you're going to do it.
Yes, I question life choices that you do all the time. And but if we're talking about cold, we've got to flip it and think about the hot side. So if we think about heat exposure or sauna, again, if we kind of want to look at the overall definition of what we're talking about, let's say if we are like in a sauna or a heat exposure that involves something as such as the sauna or a steam room, you want to be in there for a short, controlled amount of time. So again, if we think about the Goldilocks principle, you're sitting in this mild, warm room and you're like, oh, this feels great. You're not sweating. There's like no change. It's just a warm day outside. You're not going to have any physiological challenge or change. You're just out, kind of just hanging out in this heat room that's not really that hot. However, if you stay in a sauna or something that has an elevated temperature for too long, then you could have risk of heat stroke, which is definitely not good, or you could actually dehydrate yourself, which is also something that you do not want. So too little, nothing changes. Too much, we could have dehydration or heat stroke. So you want to find that in between. So if you are going to go into a steam room or a sauna and you're going to sit in there, usually, again, it depends on the research that you find, because I know Ken and I found some different ones. But what we found on average is anywhere from 10 to 20 minute sessions. If you do that and then you go and drink a bunch of fluids afterwards, because you are going to sweat a lot of that out, then you're going to get a lot of benefits. What type of benefits, Ken?
Well, I think one is almost the obvious, right? When you sit into a sauna, anybody that's been into a sauna, you'll notice that your heart rate's going to climb. Your heart rate's going to go up. So it's kind of like a low dose of doing some cardio. But the real benefit there is you're increasing your circulation. So heart rate goes up a little bit, kind of like say cheap way of doing cardio. But in the bottom line is it's going to improve circulation. Now, the other part of it is when we talk about what the heat actually does, it's basically reconfiguring these heat shock proteins, and from there it's going to refold and repair damaged proteins, if you will. So that's a very simple way of putting it. But heat shock proteins is basically what you're going to affect and basically just repair those cells. So that's basically the size of it. I mean, I wish my client just installed an infrared sauna in his backyard, and he says 15-20 minutes a day every day, and he feels awesome. And so it made me think about getting an infrared sauna, but I need the time and the space and the money.
Maybe we can talk our producer into getting one, and we can just start doing our podcast.
Yeah. Oh, dude, let's do it.
Hey, maybe that's something that we can do, a business proposal. I'm sure it'll get shot down, but it's always worth a try. Yeah. So another one that I did want to talk about, of course, is something that is near and dear to our hearts, and I think is definitely worth mentioning, is resistance training. So again, if you think about what resistance training is, that we're using weights, we're using resistance, some type of way to challenge our muscles and our body. So that's basically when we're talking about resistance training, what we mean by that. So if we think about, again, the Goldilocks principle, doing too little. So again, if you're not lifting weights, you're just lifting a bunch and you're not really feeling anything, there's no challenge to the body, there's going to be absolutely no adaptation. Remember, adaptation just means a goal. So if you're trying to build muscle or tone up or lean down or whatever, and you're not lifting enough, you're not going to see any changes. However, on the flip side is if you go and you don't have a foundation or any kind of base and you just go and say, I'm going to lift as heavy as I can. I'm going to do 1 to 5 reps, which is your max amount. And you don't really care about your form, but you're just lifting to lift. You are going to feel it for sure. But then again, you're also going to increase your chances of injury or having soreness for so long that you don't even want to go back. And so that's definitely too much. So what is the sweet spot? It's just, you got to think what's just right is challenging the weight that's going to focus and force your body and your muscles to work. So therefore they are going to build and grow, right? You want them to adapt to whatever demand it is. So what is your goal? Is it building stabilization, like building a good foundation? It would be anywhere from 12 to 20 repetitions, doing things at a very, like when you're going down, let's say doing a chest press, which everyone knows. If you start bringing the weights down, go down for about 3 to 4 seconds, pause, and then push it up and do that type of pace. So it's slow and controlled, especially when you're going in the eccentric or you're lengthening the muscles, because you're controlling that time under tension, which is forcing your body to have to really, work to control the amount of weight going up and down. Then you can go into the typical movement patterns of moving it just up and down at a good flowy tempo. So up for 1, pause, down for 1, up for 1, just moving at that type of pace from anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. Before you get to that heavy load, build a base and then think about what is your ultimate goal and then work your way up to that safely, effectively, and efficiently. So therefore you are going to see your goals happening, but you're also going to get there safely where you're not going to have discomfort and pain along the way.
Those are all important. And
I hope so. If not, I should really think about my life.
Yeah, I know. I need to rethink my career for the last 30 years.
Yes.
But the idea again between resistance training, a lot of things is cosmetic or functional, like you're talking about, Wendy. But a lot of people don't realize that the body, when you perform exercise under resistance training, something that's going to force the muscles to work, what we are talking about also is myokine secretion. And a lot of people, that's not a phrase or a term that a lot of us have heard about, but it is actually a hormone that's released by the muscles, and it basically acts as a messenger between the muscles and the organs like the brain and the liver and fat tissue. So basically through activity, this myokine secretion is going to tell those organs that this is what we have to do, right? This is what you guys have. I'm doing my job, but you guys have a job to do as well when it comes to the body's response. When we talk about a systemic response, exercise is more than just muscles. It's brain, it's liver, it's kidneys, it's fat. Everything has a role, and every organ system in the body has a response to exercise. And that's one of the things that we don't realize. Or actually, it's not something that I learned in college. As well, as far as the overall body response. But again, we have to take a holistic view as far as how the body responds to resistance training. That's a really big one that we don't really think about when it comes to, okay, what are some of the benefits to exercise? But the other thing is just, we need muscular tension to put tension on the bones. So again, we talk about the bones response as far as stimulating osteoblasts, and when we talk about bone mineral density, exercise has everything to do with that. So again, those are just two of the benefits, again, on top of what you already mentioned, Wendy, when it comes to resistance training. So again, that's how we've made our living for the last, I don't know, I'd say 30 plus years for me. But overall, this is just a few of the benefits when it comes to resistance training and kind of going and pushing your threshold to create these responses.
Well, and I think, we could go on and on. There's so many different ways of looking at, ways to challenge yourself, creatively ways of looking into challenging yourself on the family side, not just like on the fitness aspects and realm. But I think the one that I think we should follow up with, and it's not even like the benefits of Goldilocks or not, but especially because we've been talking about these hormetic principles and the practices of it. You're going to have to think about, and Ken, you and I have done a podcast on this before, and I've done one with Marty for sure on health span versus lifespan, or what we said, okay, the ultimate is the real GOAT here is thinking about your health span. So remember, lifespan is just how long are you going to live? right? That's just a number. And when your final day is done, they put that down and that's your end date and you're done dealing. But health span is the one thing about longevity that we're looking at. We're really truly should focus on that because it's the numbers of years that you're living in good health, right? So there's no chronic diseases, there's no physical limitations. I can go do what I want when I want, and I want to feel great while I'm doing it. That is your health span. And we obviously want those numbers to increase because, again, when we're thinking about directly aiming our hormetic practices to that, we're making cells, organs, our mind, everything resilient. We're making sure that it stays healthy. We're giving it the challenge that it needs without putting too much stress or not enough stress on it. So we're finding a really good balance in between. And the more that we're able to do that, it's going to keep us good with our muscle tone, our balance, our cognitive thinking, everything that we need in order to have a good health span. And so I think the longer that we keep the just right balance, then that's going to keep us moving forward and thriving instead of just, searching and hoping for the best. We can really focus on that for a positive outcome. So therefore, we're not just thriving, or we're not just surviving, we're thriving. There's easy stuff like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. Sounds good, right?
That sounds awesome. So thank you, Wendy. I couldn't have said it better myself. So on that note, when it comes to health span versus lifespan, again, this is what we're talking about right here, is just finding that happy middle. But I guess it's a little more than just the middle, right? Just we're more on the uncomfortable side, but not exactly comfortable. So thanks, Wendy, for your insight, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and perspective when it comes to the Goldilocks Principle. So again, we can't emphasize this enough. This is the first of 5 episodes when we're talking about Fitness Fairy Tales series. So this is episode 1, and we look forward to having you guys listen to the next episode, episode 2. So like, follow, subscribe, download, share, give us a 5 out of 5, give us a 5-star rating if you can, but more importantly, let us know what you want to talk about in future episodes. So until next time, everybody, take care and be well.